Yo, what's up? This is Dev Brew. Welcome to Dev Brew. This is Games Over More Coffee, this channel. Dev Brew is where indie developers submit their games, and I do my best to give feedback on their game design. So welcome today. We are talking about Mamoball today. What is Mamoball? Mamoball is a mobile soccer game, massively multiplayer online soccer game for mobile. And you can see that. Let's see if I give the gameplay a little play here. Right here, there we go. Let's turn off my sound already. And then I am right here. So yeah, this is the game that we're talking about today. This was played on my phone. This was on Android. I was playing on an Android phone, and we're going to talk about this. So this was submitted by a person from Alberon Technology. I think this game is also available on iOS. You can check it out. The link to this game below. And this is me playing it. So yeah, so what are we going to talk about today? So Mamoball, the person who submitted this game, they had specifically asked me to look at two things, and those two things were the joystick controls and the skills or upgrades. He was wondering if there's any skills or upgrades that he should add, or maybe just have my feedback on that. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and say that I am not a typical player for these kinds of games. In fact, we will talk about that more later on. But yeah, I don't play mobile games a whole lot. I don't play online games a whole lot. It's funny, you would think that someone who studies games as much as I do would play a lot of different games, and it's coming to that point. Yeah, it's coming to the point to where there's almost no genre that I haven't played. But there's still a few out there, and this is one of them. So I'm not a huge fan of massively multiplayer online games, but I have played them before. This is my first time playing, I think, a sports one. But anyway, this was quite interesting. It was a fun experience. I would play it again. It's not my jam, but it is something to look into and study. So that's what we're here to do. So first things first, we're going to talk about the joystick controls. The first thing that this person wanted me to talk about. Joystick controls on virtual machines are very difficult to get right. I wouldn't say, like, for a virtual joystick, this is fine. Virtual joysticks are fine. I have to make sure that am I actually live here? I am live. Okay. my this is so weird. My OBS Studio says that I'm not live, but I am. Okay. Yeah, that's really strange. Okay. Anyway, I'm sorry for that hiccup there. Anyway, yeah, so joystick controls, they're very hard to get right on mobile because they are just a specific, little sliding kind of circle pad, if you will. There's no real physical feedback. There's nothing to give the player a sense of control while they're moving their hand on the joystick. The only thing that they have is a visual thing, which you can see in the gameplay here. It's just a little icon that moves around, and you can see the little dot. The little dot that's moving around is my touch, where I'm touching. And the, it works fine. I wouldn't say that there might be a better way to do it. And from me, it's always been like a virtual joystick to me has just always been just a patch job. It's always just been something that people put into their game to try to make it feel like there is a joystick, but there's not. There's no dimension to it. It really does feel just kind of like a omnidirectional pad, basically, just a D-pad, but in all directions. And I'm not a fan of them, but I think this one works for the way that you're trying to do it here. I think it works. I think there's other ways to go about your movement in games. I really like the idea of not having a joystick whatsoever and just kind of letting your thumb, wherever you touch on maybe the left side or the right side of the screen, let that dictate your movement. I really like that. I really hate the types of virtual buttons and virtual joysticks that most people put on their games. I wouldn't say that this is a problem for this. I really don't know how to improve it. I don't think there is a way to improvement. Like I said, I think it works fine as far as gaming goes on a mobile phone. I know a lot of people who play games like this are very used to virtual joysticks, and they can, they can work. So yeah, if you want my advice for it, I would make I would put a support in for a gamepad if people want to play a gamepad. But that's about it. I mean, there's nothing really else that you can do, I think, in a game like this for that kind of control. In fact, this game, from what I understand, this game is a clone of another game called Hacksball, and Hacksball is just an online game also with it's the same exact thing, except in this game you control with WASD, and I kind of like the virtual joystick a little bit better, but I can see playing this game, Hacksball, and really getting a sense of where I am going at what times. For example, in diagonals, and if I'm going diagonally, I know exactly when I'm going diagonally because I can feel the buttons both pressed at the same time. Versus Mamoball, where it doesn't really feel, every direction feels similar because it's just one thing. So I would add support for gamepads. I'm not sure if that's a thing that would, corrupt the amount of engagement that seems to be going on with the community here, because I do know that there's a lot of people here that seem to have a very specific way that they play this game. Oh, look at that. There's an ad. How cool. Let's get out of there. Okay. Yeah, it was actually kind of interesting to see that some of the community reactions in this game for the type of hate that goes on in here for certain types of controls. For example, what I had done in here was I used this button right here. This is the it's called the press button, which I thought was kind of funny. But the button, allows you to go into the it allows you to go toward the ball, basically, and it allows dribbling in a way that is a little bit easier than just kind of making yourself just move toward the ball with the joystick. So I like the idea of having that button, and I thought it was really helpful. But when I used it in game, there were people that actually saw that was happening, and they would comment about it back in their little text box. You can't see it because my thing's right there. Yeah, but you can see where someone just did a little XD emoji right there. They would do the same thing with, if they saw that someone was using that kind of button, they'd say something in Spanish about oh, gross, they're using that button. Like, I thought that was really interesting. That was a community involvement in the controls. So anyway, the point being that if you do add game controls, gamepad support, that it would be something to keep in mind that something is happening here with the community if you add something like that. The other thing that you brought up, the developer of this game, you asked about skills and upgrades. So this got me thinking a little bit about what this game is as a whole. And you also talked about how this game, you would like to make more money from it. It doesn't seem to be making a whole lot at the moment. And I was looking at different types of games that have the same kind of, I guess, online sports mentality that this game does. And the thing that came up immediately to me was Rocket League. And I'd never played Rocket League before, so I went ahead and played it. And I blame you now, the developer. I am hooked on this game. I love Rocket League is so interesting to me. But in this game, in Rocket League, the reason why I wanted to study it is because it is, basically it's an online soccer match. Basically that's what's happening here. And there's also a bunch of, obviously it's very popular. There's a lot of people buying a lot of stuff for here. And you have customizations. It's the same kind of thing that's happening in your game. So I wanted to study this game and try to figure out exactly what it is about it that people seem to like so much in order to spend an amount of money on it. And it's not just the popularity, because obviously your game is very popular, and you can see while we're playing here that there is, this person right here has a customized skin, and these two people, although they don't, you can see that they're I'm not sure if both of them, I can't really see that one, but this one has a customized name, which is something you do have to pay for. You don't have to pay for it with, I don't know if you have to pay for it with money, but it is something that is in one of the tiers. And I see a lot of people using different emojis, and those emojis are unlocked with gems that you then buy, with money. So there are people buying stuff in your game. So I'm wondering, is it just not making the amount of money that you wish to make? Because most certainly people are buying stuff. Now, if you're wanting to try to increase the amount of interest in like customizability, like cosmetics and stuff like that, this is the reason why I would go to games like TF2 or CSGO or this game specifically, Rocket League, and see how it is that they're able to create such interest in their cosmetics. And I wouldn't go so far as to say to implement things like loot boxes or anything like that. I think those mechanics in a game can get a little predatory on the side of like, convincing kids to gamble. Not something that I would like in a game, not something that I think is a good thing to do. But I do think it's interesting to look at the relationships between cosmetics and what they mean inside of the game and what people attach to. So in Rocket League, I don't know if in this one, because I'm not super familiar with the game, so I don't know if this match right here that I'm playing, if there's people that are customized. I think there are. But what's interesting about Rocket League is that they do have customizations that you can do without paying money. And I thought that was really cool because while I'm playing the game, sure, yeah, the mechanics get me in and it's a lot of fun. But then I want to start to, control something more than that. I want to display my own type of, like, express myself more, express myself visually, give more identity to myself and make myself stand out. That's what a lot of people want to do, when they're expressing themselves, especially in a game that's online where everyone looks the same, right? So in a game like that, and especially in a game that has a bunch of cars that all look the same, you want to look for ways to make yourself stand out. And one of the ways that they do it is with different colors and different patterns that you can apply to your car. And it's all for free, that part anyway. There's certainly a lot of parts that cost money, and those parts are much more interesting and much more, I guess, variety. There's a much more variety in that kind of customization. So what I like about that is if you look at that in our Team 1, if you look at that in Mamoball, you can see that, first of all the icons look pretty similar. Like the circles by themselves don't have a whole lot of cosmetic, I guess, potentiality to them. Potential, cosmetic potential. Because they're just circles, they're just circles with stripes on them. And even if you customize the stripes, even if you get to customize like the letters on mine, which I put GO on mine, which is supposed to be Game Server Coffee, but it's just Go. Oh, look, there's that little line I was talking about. Someone said right there, Chaosco, que usan el botón de press or whatever. Anyway, it means gross. They're using that button. There's a lot of Spanish speakers playing this game. I thought that was interesting. Also, a lot of people from China, according to the leaderboards. Anyway, so while playing this game, you're seeing that all the circles are very similar. They're just circles with stripes. And you don't get to do a whole lot that's different in that kind of cosmetic, thing. When you look at Rocket League, you can do different kinds of patterns, like I said, for free, right? They don't cost money. If you see right here, like maybe there's a different, because I do know, because I changed my car's color later on, you can see that it's a little bit more teal. Yeah, right here. So even with, let's see if I can find, yeah, right here. Here you go. So like they let you paint your car in a bunch of different colors, and this is all free. 4 different teams. So you can see that the blue team, you can create a bunch of different types of blue hues. And then for the orange team, there's a bunch of different types of red. And then your accent color can be just any color you want. And there's a bunch of different combinations that you can make from this. And you can really feel like you're unique, in a way, without spending any money. And I really like that idea quite a lot. And, what that says to me is that it introduces the idea of putting in cosmetics, and it lets you feel immediately something that you're doing. It lets you feel out in cosmetics without having to pay a price. And I really like that idea. And so in this game, in Mamoball, I feel like that's something that we could add. Is have a free tier of cosmetics in here, and I do know that you can create what's called an avatar, which is the text on top of your thing, but the text doesn't do a whole lot. In fact, if you look at Hacksball, Hacksball goes a step further and has little symbols and emojis that you can put on. I'm not sure if those are paid for. I assume they're not, because this game seems to be free. I'm pretty sure. I haven't studied a whole lot about Hacksball, but that's the only way you can stand out, right? You can see, I immediately know who this person is. I immediately know who they are. Like, immediately, because of how simple everything looks, it's very easy to tell when something is so contrasty. So with that in mind, if you look at, these circles, I want to be able to have the same type of immediate recognition. Look at someone and be like, oh, that person's that person, oh, that one's that one. Be able to immediately understand. And that's what people want, in their cosmetics in their games. So anyway, I would say make a free tier of cosmetics that do drastically alter something. So you can see, like, right here, this person who has stripes, a lot of stripes. I think that's also paid for. If I go to, let's see, there's a different video here. Yeah, so this is the system that you have in place. And I can see, like, all of these. So you have different levels, and each level unlocks a different type of, a different group of stuff that you can buy, which I thought was kind of weird, by the way, when, like, instead of being able to buy everything all at once, you have to both, get your experience up and then spend money, which I thought was kind of strange. But I don't know, maybe that's just the norm for mobile games. But yeah, so all of these, yeah, you can see that, yeah, the ones down there are locked, and I'm trying, I'm trying to find out where it is in my video that I click on stuff. Okay, so here we go. So click on something. There we go. Okay, so this one right here is 25 gems. You can see right there at the bottom there, 25 gems. And that's for the stripes. And 25 gems, you can see I have 1 gem because I got the daily bonus, which was collecting 1 gem. And the purchase, I think, is right here. Yeah, $2 for 50 gems. So effectively, you're paying $2 to buy maybe 2 of those kind of tame skins. But I would want to have more than that. I want to have, a free tier that has something that I can really sink my teeth into and make myself look really interesting. And if it's just going to be behind a paywall like that, if it's something really simple and still behind a paywall, I'm not going to bother, with doing that. I want to be able to feel it first and then go, oh, I really like that kind of cosmetic. I really like that idea of making myself look unique. Look how much other stuff there is. I'm going to go ahead and buy some other stuff. Like, that's the mentality that's in my mind when I'm playing Rocket League. So I imagine that would be the same kind of mentality in here. Also, I think the skins could be just more interesting, just to have, like, you do have interesting skins in here. I'm not trying to say that you don't, but the everything that you have is within a circle, and it really doesn't make you feel. I didn't look more, but everything just makes you feel like I'm just a circle. Whereas, I go back to Rocket League because it's a very popular game, but the differences that you can make in these cars, someone else is like a Lamborghini looking thing over there in the back there. You can choose from like a truck and some other stuff. And again, those just first 3 ones are free, and they're, something that you can experiment with first. So that is my idea on money and cosmetics and how it helps people. I did want to talk about your skills and upgrades question because I thought that was really interesting. As for a game like this, I do think it's a bit bland because of, like you said, with not like Hacksball is. Hacksball is very, very bland. It's just it's just what you see is what you get, and that's it. And for a free online game that you can log into at any time and play it, that's totally fine, right? But for a game that is on mobile and has as much stuff as you do in yours, yeah, I would want to go a little bit more. So I like the idea of having skills and upgrades, but not stuff that you can pay for, obviously, because of the pay to win mentality of that really doesn't, mix well with players. They don't like the idea of pay to win. And even if it's not pay to win, having, payment in the having payment mixed with skills and upgrades, like pay to have this kind of skill, even if it's not quote winning, or gameplay gameplay. What is it? Gameplay oriented. In fact, there's a really cool video that I watched the other day. It was just a clip on Twitter, and this clip had a person playing Fortnite, and Fortnite, has a bunch of different dances and emotes that you have that you can pay for. And one of them was just falling backwards. And this person used that emote to dodge bullets. And I thought that was crazy because it's an emote, right? It shouldn't have anything to do with gameplay. Guy Unger says, "Cool, you're still live. Haha, something quite different from what you usually give feedback on." Interesting. Yeah, this is totally different. I really like, playing quite different games like these. Hey, look at that, an ad. And this emote that they used in Fortnite affected the gameplay, even though it wasn't supposed to. And so I thought that was quite interesting. But it makes it. You should understand, as a developer, as someone who is creating a game, that things like that can happen, right? That you can, even if you're not meaning for pay-to-win mechanics to be involved, as soon as you have any kind of skill or any kind of upgrade attached with money, then suddenly things get kind of screwy. So I wouldn't ever do anything like that. Now, if you wanted to just add skills and upgrades just as a part of the game, and it's just something you can do, first, you have to be really careful because this is a massively multiplayer online game. Like you said, has millions of downloads. This thing's very popular. It would absolutely catastrophically change the outlook on the game. It would change the balance of the game when someone's playing the game. So I'm not a huge proponent of study when it comes to balance in games, because that's a very systems thing, and I know game design has to do with a lot of systems, but I'm not super systems oriented. I'm more emotion oriented when it comes to game design. But knowing that systems can be affected, whenever you make a player stronger or if you buff or nerf, that kind of thing, or give people the ability to have an upgrade or the ability to have a skill, you just have to be really careful with what it does with the entire community, because once you release something like that, it changes everything, right? And people who are at the top of the list, might not be so good anymore, and you just have to, realize that that's something that can happen. So that aside, yes, I do think that skills and upgrades are a great thing to add into this game, because I really, really enjoy the idea of having a little bit more mechanical expressiveness in this game, because there's not a whole lot of it, when you look at it. And I like the way the game looks. I mean, the graphics are very, very simple. They're very reminiscent of early mobile games. I just like the really simple outlines and everything like that. And with that kind of simplicity, I like the idea of adding more mechanical expressiveness. Things like, I don't know, your character maybe they can move really fast, and they have like a turbo, thing that happens when you press a certain button, or you upgrade and you get like certain weapons or something like that. It's stupid stuff. I'm just messing around, but I like the idea of something like that happening, because the game isn't super expressive. So it would be really, really interesting to see something like that. It provides a sort of contrast for someone to attach themselves to. So that is what I have to say about that. I don't like the idea that the name, your username, is auto-generated, and then you can't change it unless you sign up for an account, or not sign up for an account, that I think you have to pay for it. I don't know if I'm right in that. I'm not going to go on record with that, but whatever. Anyway, I thought that was really interesting. There's some chat log stuff there. I mean, I gotta say, when I went to play this game, it wasn't my cup of tea, but I did have fun while playing it, and it was quite interesting. Just playing the whole thing, and I got into this game way more than I did with Hacksball over here. Hacksball was very difficult for me to care about what I was doing. It's definitely one of those games that people seem to have played for years, and they just keep playing it, and there's, I don't know, it's like a community that you have to wedge yourself into, versus something like Rocket League, which I felt like I automatically belonged to this community, even though this game's been popular for quite some time. So there's a difference there, and your game does have a really good way to introduce the player to the game, and I thought it was really cool that I was able to interact with these players and feel like I was a part of the the community, even though they can get pretty toxic. But that's just the way that all gaming communities are, when it comes to online. Yeah, so that's the way this thing is. I thought it was strange that I'm just going off the thing here. Let me take myself off. If you see this little this button is called press. I thought that was weird. Why is it called press? It should be called, I don't know, dribble or follow or something. I thought that was strange. I love the idea that you can customize your controls though. And as you can see, I did customize mine right there. Moved all my buttons up and everything. That was great. I love that that's free also, that that's not a paid for thing. I love that you have ping and FPS there at the bottom. I don't know if that's standard, but that's really great. I like the idea of paying for emojis. I thought that was really interesting. Pretty much everyone in here had an emoji, even if they were like a new player. Maybe you don't pay for them, and maybe I'm just stupid. But I don't know. I like the idea that you pay for them because it's a purely cosmetic thing. It's not, it's only expressiveness that you're paying for right there. So that was really cool. Yeah. So anyway, so that was a thing. So you really got me into Rocket League. Weirdly enough. Yeah, so to summarize my points, joystick controls, they are what they are. I would say add controller support. Guy says because you need to press the button, obviously. Yeah. Maybe the other buttons should be called also press. That way it's more obvious as to what they are. So I would say, yeah, for joystick, add controller support. That does change. Like I said, it does have some effect on the community. But it would definitely help newcomers, come into the game. I'm not sure how many people play with a controller, but I would definitely play with a controller if I played this game. There's that, as you were saying about skills and upgrades, I would say, be very wary about the type of skills and upgrades that you include. But when you do, yeah, I think it could be fun. I think maybe even have like a different mode of gameplay completely, one that's not competitive, one that's only about skills and upgrades and having fun, kind of like the, like a, I don't know, unranked basically. Yeah, basically like unranked. And then when it comes to making money, I would say focus on purely cosmetic things, but also adding a free tier. I think that's very, very important. Adding a free tier and adding something in the free tier that is really interesting, and then build off of that. It has to be interesting. It has to be enough to where I really want to get involved in the free tier stuff. And then I see other people that are paying for stuff, and I'm like, man, I want to do that, right? That stuff. I think that can be really interesting to have some sort of identity when it comes to someone playing the game like this. So that is it. Thanks, Guy, for coming in and watching. And thank you, developer of Mamoball, for making this video possible. That is all I have for today. If you want to see other stuff that I have to do, I have other stuff. This logo over here, that's everywhere, right here. This is Games Over Coffee. This is my main channel. So if you're not familiar, go over there because it's awesome. I also do this service on Fiverr. I have a Fiverr service. So if you have a game that you want to submit to me, you can do so. There's a link in the description. There's all kinds of links in the description. If you want to play this game, by the way, this game right here, if you want to play that game, link in the description. So I will see you guys later. I'm gonna go drink some more coffee and whatnot. So goodbye. I'm gonna end the stream right now. Here we go. Nope, not yet. Almost there. Here we go.